Okay, you're live.
Well, good evening to our Board of Trustees and to everyone joining us on our live stream this evening. My name is Keith Burnett, and I'm the Superintendent of Schools for Burnet CISD. We're going to begin our May board meeting, like we always do, and that's with our invocation. I'm going to invite Trustee Mark Kincaid to offer our invocation.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we just come to you this evening and just ask for your guidance and your wisdom in all the decisions that we have to make. And Lord, we just pray for your continued touch on all those that are sick and suffering with the virus. And we especially lift up Travis to you with his injuries, Lord, and just ask that you'd continue to give strength to him and his family. And Lord, we look forward to things getting back to normal so we can resume our schools and resume camp. And Lord, we just know that you've got a plan that's bigger than any that we can think of. So give us your wisdom tonight and your insight in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Mark. All right, I call this meeting of the Burnet Consolidated Independent School District to order. The record shows quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called and has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Welcome, everyone. I sure miss seeing y'all shining faces. This is our regular May board meeting, and anyway, I need to, as usual, to confirm our quorum is take a roll. Suzanne Brown.
Here.
Ross Behrens.
Here.
Robbie.
Here.
Hello. Did you have to step out for a while? Okay. Mark Kincaid.
Andy.
Earl Foster.
Mark is here.
Earl is here.
Good. Yeah. Angela.
Here.
And myself. Is there a delay in this when I'm talking?
Yes.
Can you tell?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Keith, anyone signed up for open forum, so to speak?
No comments were submitted.
All righty. Well, that gets us to our communication and reports, and you got the floor.
So that does bring us to agenda item number 4, communications and reports. And the first report is on an updated demographic projections. And I'll let Mr. Gehring introduce our speaker and demographer.
Yes, sir. We have Brent Alexander with School District Strategies is joining us again tonight. We heard from him early last fall, about the demography study he had done last summer. We have made the decision to try to do a demographic study annually, just based on the growth that we know is coming, and we even moved this one up from the summer up until the spring for two main reasons. The reality of Bertram enrollment, the kids were there, and so we were already on a fast track from last summer's report. And then the second was the postponement of the bond election, and so we really weren't waiting for any results in May. We were able to move forward. And so we knew exactly what we were looking for as we move into the summer and into next year. So I will now let Brent take over. In your board packets is a copy of Brent's presentation. Brent, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Gehring. Good evening, board members. I'm going to go through the report and cite the page numbers that I'm on so you can follow along with me. If you'll turn to slide 2, and I'll begin with the official enrollment for the 2019-20 school year for the district was 3,248. What you see here are the latest numbers for all of the districts in the greater Austin region. You can see as of this school year, Burnet Consolidated is the 19th largest district based on total enrollment in the region. If you move to slide 3, you can see since 2016, the district's enrollment has seen a net increase of 140 students. That's a 4.5% increase. This enrollment as of The October snapshot date was the highest enrollment that the district had seen since 2011. And the growth rate from 18 to 19 was 1.5%. So if you move on to slide 4, you can see the annual growth rate history, both the numeric change and the year-over-year percentage growth. So what you've seen this last year, the 1.5% annual growth, that's the second highest growth rate that we've seen since 2009. So the key point here is that these last 3 years, we've seen the annual growth rate begin to increase. If you take a 5-year average, you're at it's just above the flat pattern at 0.2%. But these last 3 years, the average has been 1.5%, and that's one of the main themes of the spring report is this increasing growth rate. And so we're going to go into the numbers here more closely. But if you look at slide 5, those are the percentage growth rates, essentially the fastest growing districts in the area. So that is from 2014 to 2019 on that slide there for your reference. But you can see how Liberty Hill and even Gerald, the growth that's occurred for enrollment to the east geographically of the district is some of the fastest numbers that we're seeing in overall Greater Austin, and that growth is moving to the northwest as well, as we're about to talk about. But if you move back to slide 6, these are your totals for each attendance level by 2-year increments. Note that we've seen the pre-K through second grade numbers increase over these last 2 years. The mixed results in the 3rd through 5th grade. And then the biggest growth has occurred in the middle school. 6th through 8th grade is up 134 over these last few years, up 20% since 2015. Now, the reason that we're seeing that growth in the middle school is if you turn to slide 7, you can see the grade level numbers. The district experienced a period of growth from 2010 to 2013 in the younger grades. Those students have aged up through, and that last record kindergarten class in 2013 is now aged up to 6th grade. And so that's why we have 6th grade at near record level, as well as the 6th through 8th grade totals. Now, what's also encouraging is that we've seen the pre-K through 1st grade numbers begin to grow these last 3 years. You can see in 2018 and 2019 kindergarten at 225 and 213. So those are important things to watch going forward. Now, the birth rate shows promising numbers. If you remember, this is the blue line so this is slide 8. So remember that the blue line represents the total number of births from mothers that live in the 78611 and 78605 zip codes. So it's moved 5 years forward, so there on the right-hand side of the chart, the numbers that you see for 2020 and 21 are actually 2015 and 2016, and we are seeing those numbers gradually go up. So that is an indicator that we should continue to see the incoming kindergarten numbers trend upwards over these next 2 years. If you will move on to slide 9, you will see the transfer report. Remember, this is the TEA report that shows the number of students that live in the district but attend another public school or charter school. If you recall, last fall we talked about how Liberty Hill decided to close their transfer policy, and so we are expecting to see a gradual increase in the number of students that have transferred into the district or transferred over to Liberty Hill begin to come back into Burnet Consolidated. And so what we're seeing here is the number of students that actually are attending at school in Liberty Hill, we've seen that number drop from 156 in 2017-18 down to 156 in 17-18, a drop to 118 students during this school year. So we've seen a 38 student decline over these last 2 years. So that is something that will incrementally help the district grow, especially on the Bertram side of the district as we move over these next several years. Now, if you move into slides 10 and 11, you can see the racial and ethnic distribution numbers for the district. Not a lot of change from what we've seen these last couple of years. We still see 64% of the enrolled students are white Anglo, and 32% are Hispanic and Latino. And then if you move to slide 11, about 56.9% of the students are classified as economically disadvantaged. The next section of the report begins on slide 12 and runs through slide 14. We are looking at the geocoding results. So we mapped the students from March. And if you move over to slide 14, you can see some of the results down on the table, how it compares to what we mapped last summer. One of the things that jumps out here is that that growth of that middle school bubble, as it moves up, most of those students are on the west side of the district and really in the Shady Grove Ritchie elementary zone. And then you can see that pre-K through second growth that has occurred over this last year is mostly on the Bertram side, which is back to Mr. Gehring's point of Bertram Elementary. Now we looked at the student yields per home, per apartment, and per mobile home community. We did see the yield for single family drop just slightly, but we did count more houses that have been built. Several of those neighborhoods, had more homes but fewer students. What we suspect there is that a lot of these buyers in these neighborhoods have younger families, and their children are under age 5. If you go, we'll come back to the yields. If you look at the yields in subdivisions like the cottages at Westfall that the city helped promote and get, where we're seeing more of the entry-level homes. We've seen 39 houses built in there, but only a few students. But we think that a lot of those families have young kids that are under age 5, and we'll gradually see the yields at that neighborhood continue to grow over these next several years. But we're also seeing some of the other neighborhoods that are producing quite a few homes. I'm referring specifically to subdivisions like the Highlands of Shady Grove, Texan Trail. We're seeing a 0.6 yield in there. So there are a few neighborhoods that are producing about 0.6, but most are in that 0.2 to 0.4. So the encouraging news, though, as you move into slide 18 and 19, is the strengthening of the district's new home market. You have updated inventory numbers on these slides, one for the east side and then one for the city of Burnett. But the key point here is that since September, we counted a little more than 100 homes that have taken up a lot in the district. And then we had a major occurrence. D.R. Horton, the nation's largest home builder, purchased the Pepper Mill subdivision that is just east of Shady Grove Elementary to start a subdivision. D.R. Horton has been extremely active in Liberty Hill and other parts of greater Austin. So that's a key change that's occurred since last summer. We're also seeing, if you move to slide 19, it is the city of Bertram. So we've seen the Purple Feather and the Flores Park developments begin to move forward. Both of those subdivisions are working with planning and zoning on their final platting. Note that the Purple Feather is changing its name to Grande Estates. It will be 188 lots. It'll be a mixture of mobile homes and your traditional stick-built single-family homes. Forest Park, 35 lots, will also be traditional single-family homes, but we expect those to be entry-level. And then we're watching the third and fourth phase of Dove Meadow. Right now, phase 2 has some small custom builders in it, but we could potentially see a builder like D.R. Horton potentially go into a subdivision like Dove Meadow. And then if you move to slide 20, you can see the map there that there's 582 lots that are in the city of Burnet area. Again, most of those are in the area by Peppermill. And then if you move over to slide 21, on the west side, we continue to see just a scattering of high-end homes out by the lake that typically don't produce that many students. So with the district having over 1,100 lots in the pipeline in the Bertram zone, and another 582 in the Burnet area, these neighborhoods have the potential to produce another 500 plus students over the next 10 years. So we've increased our projections from what you saw back in September. The moderate scenario is now a 1.2% annual growth, 1.5% for 10. So that is what the numbers look like if the district continues on the 1.5% that we've seen these last 3 years. The movement of D.R. Horton into the district does give this more validity and the possibility of the high scenario occurring as well as more new home construction occurs in the district. Now, I also want to mention that the new home construction is not it's not heavily weighted initially on one side of the district or the other. It's spread out across. So we should see over these next couple of years, we should see growth in Burnet as well as in Bertram. Eventually, I think it will shift towards the Bertram area. But here over these next couple of years, we should see the construction spread out across the district. Now, most of the district's schools have the capacity to handle the projected growth. Where we do think you'll see some capacity issue in the coming years. If you look at slide 23, it's projected to hit the Bertram Elementary first, particularly because of it being the smallest capacity. So if you move to slide 24, I'll close with just want to reiterate that the biggest change that has occurred since the September report was the introduction to D.R. Horton into the district's new home market. We're also continuing to see the pre-K through first grade numbers trending up. And then I think incrementally you'll see the families or the areas that had typically transferred into Liberty Hill, we'll see numbers grow from those subdivisions as well. So the combined effect is an accelerated number from what we showed you back in September. Does anyone, I'll pause for questions here.
Brent, this is Keith. I was wondering if you would share with the board, you were out and about and talking with people in the midst of this COVID-19 closure, and you kind of shared with us that at the beginning of the closure, kind of no activity whatsoever, but then as you were wrapping up our study, it suddenly seemed to be boomeranging back. And so could you talk a little bit about what you're seeing and talking with developers and builders?
Sure. So initially, Well, let's back up a little bit. Heading into the COVID-19 situation, the first quarter was producing some of the best numbers that we've seen during the current housing cycle, which began in 2011. So a lot of builders were ahead of their pace that they had done back in 2019. So a lot of very positive thinking going into the shutdown. So those first couple of weeks were pretty confusing for a lot of builders, but remember, the entire time the builders were deemed an essential business, and they've continued to sell homes. Now, the first week of April got pretty challenging, and most of the builders builders were reporting to us that, they had seen their traffic drop. Now, obviously, that traffic dropping with model closures, but sales also dropping as well. The developers had seen their, builders that are buying land want, their projects put on hold, and as they wait to see what has happened, or what would happen. Now, after Easter and then into the end of April and into May, we've seen the builders thinking that 2020 would result in a 40 to 50% decline in their activity. We've seen that change to where they're thinking a 10 to 20% decline. We've heard from some builders that it's been remarkably strong, even though their models have been closed or their hours reduced. The fact that the interest rate is still at 3.23, the historic low, there's still a lot of people that are moving. They're relocating to Texas, or they're relocating within the state, or they're simply trying to move up. So what we've heard these last couple weeks has been much more encouraging than what we were hearing back in the early part of April.
Any other questions for Brent? This is Keith again. The only other thing that I would share with you is, based on this projection, it does accelerate. We were projecting that Bertram will exceed its capacity. Originally it was 2025, and now it's 2022. We did have an in-depth conversation with Claycomb looking at calendars, assuming a successful November 3rd bond election. It would be very tight, but the calendar would allow us, if we were to be able to pass the bond on November 3rd, to get the Bertram addition designed and then the renovations and the new construction completed in time to start that 2022 school year. Now, with that said, we've shared with you previously, even before 2022, we're going to have some capacity issue in terms of number of classrooms. And so we're actually meeting on Thursday to have discussions about some areas at Bertram Elementary that, for example, the lounge, converting the lounge into a classroom area so that we can build a little bit of extra capacity in that campus, so that our goal is to prevent us from having to go and buy a portable or bring a portable onto that campus if we can do our very best work and get the bond passed on November 3rd and get the renovations and construction completed. And then, I think Brent's study indicates, exactly what we're seeing, and that our student population continues to grow. I've shared with you, because of the projected cuts to education and school funding that possibly could take place in the spring of 21, we're also going to be fact-checking some of the facts and figures through our Save My Seat campaign and through some of our electronic registration that we're going to be conducting over the next couple of weeks, so that We have some positions on hold that we're going to stay on hold until we can confirm some numbers and kind of the whites of their eyes before we release staffing for hire. And if there aren't any other questions for Brent, then thank you very much, Brent, for taking the time to share with us, and we appreciate the information.
You're most certainly welcome. Thank you.
That's going to bring us to item B, Burnet High School Students of the Month, and Principal Casey Burkhart is online with us.
Thank you, Mr. McBurnett. The end of the year is always an exciting time for me. One reason
has left the conference.
Sorry, I'm not sure if everybody heard that, but I heard Brent leaving, so I'll start over there.
Okay.
End of the year is always an exciting time for me, one reason being that I have the privilege of recognizing several students for the accomplishments and honors they have received throughout the year. Typically, our Burnet High School Students of the Month are recognized during the month they were chosen, and while we were unable to formally recognize our March and April students, I am more than happy and excited to recognize them now. The March Students of the Month for Burnet High School are Macy Hollowell and Brian Silva, who were chosen from the athletics department. Macy Hollowell is a natural leader and does a great job balancing academics, athletics, and work. She is a positive role model for the student athletes in the girls' athletic program. Macy has participated in track for 4 years, and during that time, she was a regional qualifier her freshman and sophomore year. As a junior, her mile relay team finished third at the regional track meet and received a bronze medal. She was also a Texas Girls Coaches Association track all-star. Macy plans to attend Austin Community College in the fall to pursue a career in nursing. Brian Silva is an exemplary student athlete at Burnet High School. He competed in powerlifting, track, and baseball this year. Brian was set to lift at the regional powerlifting meet before spring break with a chance to qualify for the state powerlifting meet in Abilene. Competitiveness and the way he carried himself this season showed great spirit, pride, and honor. In track, he was part of multiple relays and competed in the long jump. He is a very hard worker and great influence on our younger athletes. He is very competitive and always has a great attitude. He also played multiple spots in the outfield for us in baseball and also pitched when needed. He was never afraid to jump into a position even if it was out of his comfort zone. Brian takes care of his business on and off the field and is a great representation of Burnet High School. Brian's plans after high school are to attend Blinn College to get an associate's degree in radiation therapy. Congratulations, Macy Hollowell and Brian Silva, as being named Burnet High School Students of the Month for March. Next, we're going to recognize our April Students of the Month. Those students are Caitlin Moore and Andrew Alanes, who were chosen from the CTE department. Caitlin Moore is involved with many activities at Burnet High School. She is a member of the BHS National Honor Society. She helped start a yearly backpack donation drive for all 3 elementary schools. Caitlin is a regular volunteer for Meals on Wheels Groceries to Go initiative, and she was honored as the Rotary Student of the Month for October 2019. Caitlin has also been a highly successful member of the Burnet FFA and has exhibited pigs and steers for many years. She finished out her senior year by winning Grand Champion Steer, showmanship, and setting a new record at the premium sale at Burnet County. As a Burnet FFA member, Caitlin has served as treasurer, vice president, and junior advisor. She achieved her Lone Star Farmer degree in 2019, and the range judging team she was a member of placed second at the state and national contests. Caitlin is ranked in the top 5% of the BHS class of 2020. She will be attending Oklahoma State University to major in agribusiness, pre-law, continue on to law school to earn her Juris Doctor, then Masters of Laws in the agriculture field. Andrew Alanes has been involved in several activities, including tech theater, but came to excel in our new Project Lead the Way engineering and computer science programs. He is a glowing example of the success students are having in Burnet High School's innovative career technical education programs. To prepare himself for post-secondary education, he has completed 6 dual credit courses and 1 AP course. He has not only excelled in our coding classes, but has also branched out into robotics as part of the engineering curriculum. Andrew can code in Scratch, HTML, CSS, Python, and JavaScript. As part of his AP Computer Science class, he built a clone of an existing video game. He has also designed parts and assemblies using advanced engineering software. And as part of the Principles of Engineering class, Andrew built a working programmable robot. Andrew has been accepted into the electrical engineering program at Texas State University, where he will be attending during the fall. Please join me in congratulating the April Students of the Month for Burnet High School, Caitlin Moore and Andrew Alanis.
Congratulations to all of our Students of the Month. That brings us to item C, Quest High School Student of the Month, and Dr. Marvin is online to share his Student of the Month.
Thanks, Keith. School board members and everyone else, it's good to be here this evening. Thank you. QHS Student of the Month for March and April is Parker Fisher. Most of you have met Parker before. He's helped us do the pledges, and you might have seen his picture in the paper as he is on the cook as well. Mr. Fisher was selected from our campus by all staff members and will graduate in June with his classmates. I will start by saying Parker is one of our Bertram boys. Parker has been our school barbecue team pitmaster for the last 2 school years. Parker is interested in becoming a diesel mechanic post-high school. I might also add that he received about $6,500 in scholarships, which will basically cover his certification. Parker works currently at Discount Tire, and he also shows animals with the 4-H. Each staff member commented on Parker's kind nature and mature attitude. Parker is always willing to help his fellow students with compassion and care. It's safe to say that I will remember Parker always, as we have cooked a few briskets together. The highest praise I can give a student is that, without hesitation, I would put my name next to his. We will miss him terribly, and I want to thank his parents, Randall and Deanne, for raising such an outstanding young man. Parker is a good boy. I hope that we can still cook together maybe one more time at the end of July if time allows and we're still able to cook. But please join me in recognizing Quest High School Student of the Month, Mr. Parker Fisher. Thank you very much.
And congratulations to Parker. We're going to have Mr. Burkhart join us now because we have several recognitions that, again, should have taken place this spring, and we wanted to make sure that the school year did not end without recognizing the accomplishments of some of our outstanding students. So, Mr. Burkhart.
Absolutely. This year has proven to be another successful year for our students in regards to recognition at the state and national level. They have all worked extremely hard, and that hard work has definitely paid off. I'm proud to recognize the following students for their achievements at the state and national level. For swimming and diving earned many awards and recognition this year. Tristan Smith and Zoe Nickel were selected for UIL 5A Honorable Mention finalists in diving. Connor McBurnett, Alexis Simpson, and Sativa Yarbrough earned Texas High School Coaches Association, All-State Academic, and National Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association All-American Academic Honors. Next, Connor McBurnett, Alexis Simpson, Sativa Yarbrough, J.C. Hudson, Jordan Messer, and Angelica Orozco received Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association All-State Academic Honors. The following athletes received the Academic Team Scholar Award. For varsity boys, they received the bronze level. Those boys were Ryan Burns, Hudson Bennet, Hayden Brown, Maximus Griego, Zach Horan, Mason Hughes, Tanner Kelch, Connor McBurnett, Jordan Messer, Landon Murdoch, and Tristan Smith. Varsity girls received the silver level. Those girls were Lydia Billick, Rosalind Griego, J.C. Huston, Brianna Kirby, Kyla Clean, Juliana LaJoy, Ella Lowry, Avery McCrory, Zoe Nickel, Angelica Orozco, Alexis Simpson, and Sativa Yarbrough. Congratulations to those swimmers and divers. In BETC, the Burnet Ensemble Theater Company's Isaac Hernandez was a state qualifier in UIL theatrical design, set design. Congratulations to Isaac. And Mr. McBurnett, I just want to pause there for a moment. I'm watching the slides as they come up as well. Do we know if there's a little delay in the slide too? I'm worried that I might be going too fast for the pictures.
And we've got someone monitoring, and so I bet they're on it.
Okay. All right, I see theatrical design there for Isaac just came up. Next, we have cross-country runner Hudson Bennet was a state qualifier this year as a freshman and is looking forward to competing and excelling again next year. Congratulations to Hudson. Next up in golf, Caitlin Graves was named Honorable Mention Academic All-State for girls golf by the Texas High School Coaches Association. Congratulations, Caitlin. I'll pause just a moment there for Caitlin's slide there.
And Casey, I've been told that there's really no delay. That
okay,
it looks like there's a delay, but when you watch it, there won't be. So.
Okay, all right. Well, I apologize then. I'll carry on and not pay attention to the slides there. Thank you for that, Mr. McBurnett. In VASE, the Visual Arts Scholastic event, we had 2 state qualifiers in Jordan Berryman and Sydney Schaefer. Congratulations to Jordan and Sydney. CX Debate had a very successful year at state with Jaslyn Marvin and Clayton Atkinson being selected as the gold medalist and Anna Barrios and Liam Franco selected as the silver medalist. Congratulations to the Burnet High School debate team who swept first and second at state. Our FFA home site evaluation and range evaluation teams were state qualifiers this year. The home site evaluation team included Ashton Floyd, Axie Horner, Caroline Weidman, Tyler Patterson, and Cass Spivey. The range evaluation team included Clayton Atkinson, Caitlin Moore, Grayson Barnett, and Hayden Henry. Congratulations to the Burnet FFA state qualifiers. Our barbecue teams earned many awards and accolades at the state competition last year, qualifying them to compete at the World Championships this year. The Iron Dogs placed 3rd overall, receiving 1st place in dessert, 2nd place in brisket, and 4th place in ribs. Team members included Sativa Yarbrough, Tessa Edwards, Bridget Bristow, J.C. Huston, and Will Runzier. Parker Fisher won the title for Reserve Grand Champion for Team Q. The Burnet FFA barbecue team, consisting of Jordan Erickson, Heidi Luke, and Kendrick Castillo, was the overall Grand Champion barbecue team and also earned the title of World Food Champions. Congratulations to all 3 Burnet barbecue teams. The following band students qualified for the Texas State Solo Ensemble Contest by earning a first division on a solo and/or ensemble. The Woodwind Trio consisted of Amber Newman, Gabriel Vela, and Mackenzie Stevenson. Percussion Trio was Chris Delgadillo, Mitchell Howard, and Micah Rothermel. Clarinet Solo was Mackenzie Stevenson. Percussion Solo, Mitchell Howard, and another percussion solo, Alfredo Serrano. Congratulations to all band state qualifiers. We have one more student recognition tonight for Burnet High School. I'm so proud to recognize Dell National Scholarship recipient Mary Serrano. This is a nationally recognized scholarship with over 9,000 applicants, and Mary is one of only 500 chosen recipients in the United States. With this scholarship comes $20,000, a Dell laptop, textbook credits, and membership to the Dell Foundation Mentor Program to support her in achieving her bachelor's degree. This is an amazing accomplishment and a true testament of her character and determination. Mary plans to attend Concordia University in the fall and major in nursing. I want to say congratulations one final time to all of those students receiving state and national honors tonight. You have each represented Burnet well, shown what true grit is, and spirit, pride, and honor. Congratulations to all of these amazing students who show us daily what it means to have spirit, pride, and honor.
And I would add that this agenda item probably would be another hour's worth of information if all these spring events would not have been canceled, because we had lots of teams, especially UIL Academic and some of our sports teams that were queued up to do some great things. And we had returning spelling state champions and our social studies teams and our current issues and events and our boys and girls soccer, both that earned playoff berths. And so, again, congratulations to all of our outstanding students. That brings us to item E, report on operational and instructional issues related to COVID-19 school closure. And so, as we have done the past several meetings, this agenda item will be in three parts. I'm going to start off actually with some thank yous. As we're wrapping up the 2020-2021 school year this week, I wanted to publicly say thank you to all of our staff for their Herculean efforts during the school closure. I want to say a special thanks to our teachers, our curriculum department, our special programs department for standing up and implementing a distance learning program in just a week's worth of preparation time. I want to say thank you to all of our staff in our instructional areas for doing double the work by creating online resources and paper-based packets because they were committed to addressing the needs of our families and not just the convenience of the adults doing the work. I want to say thank you to our parents for their grace, their patience, their partnership. We literally could not have taught our students in the spring without their cooperation and partnership from our families, so thank you to them. I want to say thank you to our students for the grit that they displayed during a time in which everything they knew was turned upside down. I want to say thank you to them for staying engaged when it would have been super easy for them to just disconnect and give up. I want to say thank you to our teachers for addressing not only students' academic needs, but for also taking care and supporting their emotional needs. This clearly was a very challenging time for our teachers and our students, and our teachers stepped up and they were that one constant in many of our students' lives. I want to say thank you to our counselors for being there for our students and our parents during, again, this very trying and challenging time. Sometimes all of us need someone to lean on, and our counselors served as that listening ear and that supportive shoulder for our parents and our students. I want to say thank you to our principals for taking care of our teachers and coordinating and collaborating over a multitude of decisions and actions in which there was no precedent. There was no playbook on how to make this work, and our principals led the way. I want to say thank you to Pamela Holcomb for leading our grab-and-go meal service and for everyone that volunteered with meal prep and meal delivery to 9 sites every weekday of the closure across our 700 square miles that make up Burnet CISD. I want to say thank you to our Human Resources Department and our principals for continuing to recruit, interview, and hire employees while they were doing everything else. Even as they were managing the crisis, our team was committed to planning for the future. Thank you to our technology staff for putting devices in the hands of our students, for serving as a help desk to our families, and for identifying over 30 free Wi-Fi locations to support learning. Thank you to our business department for ensuring that bills got paid on time and staff continue to receive their paychecks on time, and even a little early at the end of this week. Thank you to our staff for deploying non-traditional ways to continue to recognize our staff and our students for their accomplishments during the school closure. Thank you to our professional staff who often went above and beyond their job duties, their written job description, and performed tasks and work that it had to be done, and they stepped up and volunteered to do it. Our professional staff mowed the grass, they took out the trash, they cleaned up areas, they delivered supplies. I want to say a special thank you to our Director of Business and Finance, Clay Gehring, and our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Rachel Jones. They've been in the office every day during spring break and all the way through this pandemic, serving, leading, planning, problem solving, and supporting our staff in this district. They deserve a lot of credit for the systems and plans that have been stood up during this pandemic. And finally, I want to say thank you to you, our Board of Trustees, who have spent lots and lots of hours in meetings and who acted immediately to provide flexibility and policy and authority for the administration to be able to respond in a timely manner to this ever-changing and developing situation. Thank you also, and I've heard this from just staff member after staff member, to our Board of Trustees for ensuring that during this economic crisis that all staff in Burnet CISD continue to be paid. And so I just didn't want the year to end without being able to say publicly thank you to lots of people who during a regular year do great work and during a school closure stepped up and, as I said, did Herculean work.
Hey, Keith, this is Robbie.
Yes.
I've got my hand up.
Okay. You have the floor.
I just really wanted to say, it was shared with me the other day. I know as teachers and staff, y'all don't get together and share stories very often, but it was shared to me that was one of the things that they miss the most is the ability to visit with each other and talk about the great things that they're doing throughout the district and what they're doing for individual students throughout. So I would encourage anybody that's listening, any teachers or anybody, visit with some of your cohorts and share the stories, because it really touched me deeply when I heard some of the things that were going on. And we don't hear them because we're separated and we don't get to go to the teacher's lounge. We don't get to hear them. And I would just encourage that anybody listening or anybody out there to share your stories and be a part of the school district, what the great things are going on. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, I can do that too.
So some good news, a little bit of a step towards moving back to some amount of normalcy. On Tuesday, May 26th, some of our office staff will return back to work here at Central Office and on our campuses. We are going to be having a modified schedule. Some staff members will work a Monday, Wednesday schedule, while some will work a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. That works out really nicely, especially as we operate with our summer hours on a Monday through Thursday work schedule. We want to make sure that we're ensuring social distancing and that we're providing a safe work environment. And so we're going to kind of dip our toes back into having people come back to work in a physical location. We will plan to do that for sure and through June 4th, and then we're going to reevaluate and determine whether or not we're going to extend the work at home and the work at the office for a little bit longer, or if we'll be bringing back people back together even sooner to work full-time at the office. Central office and our school offices will still remain closed to the public. We will be answering phones and emails as we have been, but we'll set up any appointments. Preferably it will be a video conference or phone conference, or we'll be able to accept paperwork or things that maybe someone needs to turn in. Our auxiliary staff, our custodians, our maintenance workers, because of their job responsibilities and their work environment, they're going to be able to come back and begin working full-time every day. And boy, we have a lot of work. They're going to hit the ground running, and their first job is going to be getting prepared for graduation, getting the stadium ready and prepared. And that is a nice segue to bring me to the fact that as we do wrap up the school year, I want to share some of the upcoming celebrations for our seniors. So on Thursday, May 21st, Quest High School will have its virtual graduation. That will be at 6 o'clock. It will be a video-based virtual graduation, and so really any time after 6 o'clock you can tune in and start that video and watch it. On Friday, May 22nd, we will be having a drive-by graduation parade beginning at 6 o'clock. That will go from the high school down 3rd Street to Bulldog Stadium Drive, to Grave Street, to Romberg, to Washington, around the historic square, and then all the vehicles will exit Jackson. And so we're inviting our community to come out, paint the town green, and to celebrate our graduates while also maintaining social distancing as they line up. Board member Suzanne Brown had suggested that if the board wanted to maybe choose a location and gather together in one central location. And so, Suzanne, not to put you on the spot, I didn't know if you thought of a spot that might be good for us to gather at.
No, but I will send everyone an email.
Perfect.
Okay.
So look for an email with a suggested location. I will not be joining you because I'm going to be driving my graduates. I got selected to be the driver, so I'm excited about that. Then, the reason we're starting the parade at 6 o'clock is at 7:30, Burnet High School will have its virtual graduation. It will actually be a live stream event. And so it starts at 7:30, so if you tune in at 7:40, you're going to miss the first 10 minutes. We are going to video the live stream event, and that video will be made available later, but it will be a live stream event for the Burnet High School virtual graduation. And then, as you know, June 4th, we're actually going to be hosting a face-to-face graduation with Quest High School at 7:30, and then June 5th will be Burnet High School's face-to-face graduation at 7:30. TEA has published a multitude of guidelines, and we've got a great team at the high school. Kudos to Casey Burkhart and to Katie Clinton. They're problem solving right now to make sure that we meet the guidelines put forth by TEA. We make sure everyone is safe, but yet we have the opportunity to honor our graduates. And then we also look forward to our Board of Trustees being able to hand out diplomas just like they always do at graduation. And then finally for me, just a reminder that on June 1st we will have our budget workshop. This will be our second budget workshop of the year. And we would like to transition during that budget workshop to utilize Google Meets, which will allow us to use video conferencing during that meeting. That will allow us to see each other, and it will allow us to share our screen and the PowerPoint presentations that we'll be putting together to share budget information with you. To facilitate that, what we would like to do is make sure that you have your Chromebook that you use on the dais during regular board meetings with you so that you can easily join the conference. It is literally, you click a link and you are joined into the conference without having to worry about video or sound. And we will have those available for you to pick up beginning on Tuesday, May 26th. And so if you'll reach out to me and let me know a day and time that you'd like to come by and pick those up, we'll make sure that it's configured and that you know exactly what you need to do to access that meeting that evening. Are there any questions about anything that I covered? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gehring, and he's going to share some operational items related to COVID-19.
Yes, sir. So we will start with giving you all the update on the grab-and-go meals. We believe that it has been a great success at feeding the children of the Burnet community. As of today, we have served 18,369 breakfast lunch combos, and so that is an impressive feat. To look at the financial side of that, the reimbursement rate on those meals is over $6. So we will be generating over $115,000 in revenue based on those meals that we serve. The expenses side of that piece, we're currently sitting at right about $50,000 in expenses. We're thinking that we'll have another $50,000 in the bills that are coming due to Labatt and the milk company, and then the food service staff that we do have to hire. But we are anticipating being able to break even with maybe a little bit to help the food service fund out with it losing all its revenue for the school closure. And I do want to echo Keith was mentioned the helpers with the meals. I did the math on it, and if we would have to hire food service staff to do everything that we did to reach those kiddos out in Hooper Valley and all the different areas, we'd save $15,000 by volunteers being here, helping and making sure that we got out to those sites. It'd be tough financially to go out to Cassie on a day that's slow and we only serve 5 meals if we were paying people, but the awesome volunteers allowed us to do that without it having too negative an impact on the financials of the district. So I think that's a huge victory. The other point on the grab-and-go meals is the summer plan. We have met and made decisions on how we will move forward. The state has, as I guess the feds and state have now extended the grab-and-go style of meals all the way through August. And so this is a huge help that the kids or the parents are able to come and just grab meals and bring them and eat them in the safety of their home. And so we have decided to continue our summer program feedings at R.J. Ritchie, Bertram Elementary, Hoover Valley, and Lakeshore Libraries are going to have daily feedings just as they do now. Some of the areas that are a little bit less participation but still had kiddos coming are Cassie, Briggs, and Lake Victor. And so we are going to offer weekly deliveries to those sites, but within that one delivery will be the equivalent of 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches. And so they're going to get a real haul if they show up on Mondays to pick up their lunches and breakfasts, and we are in the process of communicating that with those families that come there, and communication is going to come out other ways as well. We are going to continue the serving meals for the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Clubs. They're not necessarily going to be open sites. They're going to come and pick up meals for the kids that are enrolled in their programs. To be able to continue all these different programs, we are going to reach out and continue to ask for volunteers who are willing to help. I actually sent an email mid-afternoon today, and I've already got responses from about 25 folks saying, yep, I'm in. Sign me up to help. So that's anyone who's not on contract or not still working is able to volunteer. So a lot of our instructional staff who were busy teaching kiddos and were busy during the school year who wanted to help now will have that opportunity. We will fill the gaps with food service staff where it's necessary. And then quickly, just an update on the overall finances of COVID. The district has spent about a little over $44,500 in COVID expenses. That includes premium pay for personnel, legal services, postage stamps, envelopes for the packets that were mailed out, Google Voice for the teachers and administrators to reach the kiddos, and totaling $44,700. I can say there's been some good response or good news on the instructional continuity grant. We have 3 campuses that qualify for some of those funds. So Rachel and I met last week, and we're thinking at least $12,000 to $13,000 of these already made expenditures we're going to be able to get reimbursed for, and leaving $5,000 to $6,000 for future needs that we know are coming. So that will certainly be helpful as we move forward. I also would quickly like to just point out a couple areas where we've seen savings in our budget, and I'll go a little more detail later during the financials or the budget amendment, but we have $75,000 savings in substitutes, $30,000 in overtime, and a lot of that overtime is not what you think of as overtime. It's not like we were spending $30,000 in overtime that wasn't necessary through the years. It's where we are short bus drivers and the mechanics have to drive, where Charlie's folks get called in because there's a pipe burst on the weekend. So it's those non-scheduled overtimes that just have to happen to continue operations. Staff development, we have saving about $20,000. That's primarily in travel and registrations. We have a savings of this year, kind of a one-time savings, and I believe you shared this with them, but some of the PLC trainings that are getting delayed, we'll mark them as prepaid, so they won't get expensed to another year, so we'll see that showing up in fund balance. A diesel fuel savings of $50,000. You guys will be happy to know that our tanks are full, though. We took advantage of the low fuel prices and filled those puppies up. So when we get back to rolling, we'll be good to go. A lot of trip driver saving of $15,000, and then utilities. We can talk about that in the finances as well. But we're looking at probably $50,000 in savings over the 2 months in utility bills. So that kind of gives a glimpse into the financial aspects of COVID.
If there are any questions, then we'll let Rachel wrap up with the instructional implications.
All right. So it is the last week, and we have some exciting things happening on campuses to close out the year. We've got the final pickup and drop-off of school property exchange with families this week, and a lot of the campuses have some special fun planned as people drive through. A couple of luau themes. We have some time capsule burying live streams and some virtual award assemblies. And last week there were some class parties, and some of our teachers, dressed up in costumes for their class parties on Google Meet. So it's been great to see some of the fun injected into this time that it really is very hard to be able to have some laughs and make some different kind of memories. Also, all the campuses have been running committees to determine promotion, retention, and award of credit decisions. So because we switched to alternate grading marks that are not numerical, that meant that we had to have a process to determine whether a student was eligible to promote the next grade level rather than just an average of 70 like we would normally do in a school year. And so they've met to look at each student. It's an incredible investment that they've made to look at that, and there will be a form that's able to be retained with that student's record so that in the future we can remember why we promoted or retained a student whenever the report card looks a little different than usual without having number grades in the last 6 weeks. And that's something that we wanted to have as a record that would go with the student during this unusual year so that we wouldn't have problems later down the road if we didn't commit some of that to a process. So the possible decisions they can make are to unconditionally promote or award credit, or to unconditionally retain or deny credit, or to conditionally promote and so, or conditionally award credit. And so some of those conditions are things like, we're going to promote you with the condition that you'll be assigned to an intervention group to start the year, because we don't want to wait. We know that you were already showing that you needed help before closure. You seem to struggle during closure. We're going to start you in an intervention group, and if parents, if you agree to that, then we'll go on and promote. Some other examples of conditions have been signed agreements with parents that they agree that their child will attend tutoring whenever school starts back up, or signed agreements of, that they'll do some reading with their child this summer to try to help the parents of some of our kids who are struggling understand that we can move them forward if you'll partner with us to really provide the supports that that child needs. I'll tell you, one of the really amazing side benefits, a silver lining, has been that it has caused everyone to really look at the whole student in terms of learning, including the students and including the parents. It's not just tell me what grade I have to get to move along. It's caused everyone to really sit and talk about where are you in terms of your learning and what do you need to be successful next year. So that has definitely been a silver lining to see some really deep conversations there. We've continued to reach out to some of our non-contactable students. We had already begun that effort and also been tracking which students we had trouble reaching before TEA rolled out with kind of a late requirement that we code some things in teams. And so they are collecting that data, but we had already started gathering it. And so we are down to about 2 or 3 elementary students. The high school has contacted every single student, and I believe the middle school is now down to like 6 or 7 students that they've not been able to make contact with. And so it's really outstanding when you hear some of the news reports in other places, and it just speaks volumes to the dedication and the just love that our staff have for the kids in this community, that they have just continued to not give up and to keep trying to reach them. Now, some of the kids who we've reached have not been super engaged in all of the learning, but we've been able to reach them and correct any misunderstandings that they had or find out about needs that they had. So I'm very, very proud of the campuses, because that was a lot of work to call each individual family repeatedly. And sometimes their extended family, they had to do a little bit of investigation and talk to auntie and figure out what number they might be able to have. So it was awesome. We have new professional development requirements that the state has added for compliance. Cybersecurity, you're probably already aware, is a new requirement this year. Our campus staff and district exempt staff completed that as of May 8th. Our central non-exempt staff will complete it in the first week that they come back, May 26th, so that we'll all be compliant with cybersecurity. And we're super excited that it's an annual training, so we can turn around and do it again in August.
Well, and Dr. Jones, as a reminder, our Board of Trustees has to do the same training, and I think we're maybe targeting June 1st to do it as a group. So get ready. You're going to be cybersecurity trained so that we can check it off with the state.
I can hardly wait. Another new compliance training is going to be Title IX. There's some new components to Title IX that were added by the feds, and so we're still working through whether that can be rolled in with some of our online trainings or if we've got to have an additional way to train staff. But that'll be in the back-to-school time, not the immediate time frame. Then the last thing that I wanted to mention is the calendar options that the state has been opening conversations with districts about for 2020-2021. The commissioner has cited a lot of research and is a strong advocate for what's referred to as the intersessional calendar, which is basically a nearly year-round school calendar with long breaks. He's encouraging districts to seriously consider this so that you have plenty of opportunities to go back and make up lost time, and that students' learning is not interrupted. We've been encouraged, but that is not something that the state can mandate. And so really it comes down to being encouraged to build in plenty of make-up time, because we are almost assured that we will have, if not district-wide, then at least some campus closures from time to time as people test positive or come to school not realizing and having sickness. So TEA, one of the items in thinking about calendar is, what would distance learning look like? Is that an option to avoid having to do a year-round calendar? And right now, what we have learned from the state is that they will fund distance learning again to some degree, but the commissioner has stated it will not be in the same way as this year. We don't know if that means it won't be funded at 100% ADA amount per day. We don't know if that means it will only be funded for a maximum number of days. We don't know what that means. We know that there will be some distance learning option, but we don't know how much we can count on that. And so we do need to build in some face-to-face time to avoid going into late June, making up any time from closures. That is not something that we're interested in doing at this time. We're really not interested in moving the start and end for students by very many days. And so we're talking about some items like extending the school day by 15-20 minutes to bank more instructional minutes, possibly moving around some of the currently scheduled professional development days to create some make-up times if they don't fall in a place that we need them to fall to make time up. We could move the first and last days of school for students by a few days, and it would not change staff contract length. It might be a few more days for students, but it wouldn't be very disruptive to our staff and the rest of the community. That I know schools are not islands. They're connected to communities, and lots of things are planned around school calendars. So right now we're still in the what if, and each time that we hear from the commissioner, he provides a little bit more information. And so we're hopeful that this week's commissioner calls, he might give more guidance. Last week he sounded as though they were coming close to being able to tell districts what distance learning funding could look like. You might have seen some news reports about districts planning to go every other day with kids and everybody distance learn on Friday, and those are good plans, and it's possible we'd have to look at something like that, but honestly, until we know what the state is going to consider funding worthy, it has ripples for how you do everything else. And so we're not committing to a model like that until we know more information. And that is all that I have. I'd be glad to answer questions if you have them.
This is Keith again. One of the things that we know is that parents want to know if there's going to be any changes to the school calendar. Principals want to know that because they're having to plan. And so, as Dr. Jones mentioned, we don't foresee major changes to the calendar, especially from a standpoint of start of the year, end of the year. We are looking at, again, increasing minutes and looking at how we can arrange some professional development days so that we could make up. And on one draft, I think Dr. Jones got it up to 20 days that could be used between minutes and professional development days that we could make up if we had to. And we're feeling pretty good if we can identify 20 days within the school calendar that we can make up if we had to, given any type of future closure. So, and of course, any change to the school calendar would require board action. And so you could expect, as early as June 1st and no later than June 22nd for our regular board meeting in June that we would be bringing a calendar to you to approve. Are there any other questions about anything we've discussed COVID related? If not, I'm going to have Mr. Gehring move on to item F, financial reports.
Yes, sir. If you look in the financials on page 36, we'll start off with the monthly report. The main point I want to point out here is if you go to the column for April, total expenditures in the general fund for April is $2.38 million. March was $2.562 million, but then February is $2.94. And so we talked about some savings earlier, and so if you look at the raw data here, clearly we're realizing some additional savings other than that. So this is about $550,000 less expenditures this month than prior months. Now some of that's because teachers and principals aren't here to buy stuff, but they'll have time to do that rolling into the summer. But clearly there's going to be some savings that'll roll over through the year. So the percentage is at 67.25%. We should be right at 67%. You recall the theme earlier in the year was Shady Grove driveway. A lot of these items are we paid big up front that had the budget a little behind, but clearly this doesn't show May, so May should be another saving. So we'll be looking this summer and talking about this one-time increase to fund balance that we should realize this year and how we use that as we move on in budget planning.
And if you're going to have an increase to fund balance, now's probably a good time knowing what maybe is on our future.
All right, that's good news, but it is shortly lived.
Yes.
We certainly need to take advantage of that while we can. On page 44 and 45 are the utility reports, and the utility reports show exactly what we would anticipate. There was drops in each area, except for one. BMS gas account actually increased from last year, and so Charlie was crawling around on the roof and trying to figure out where this gas leak was, and then it dawned on us, well, let's look what it is compared to last month, and it has decreased from January, February, March. So for some reason, the gas usage at BMS had increased this year from last year, and now it's dropping back to the norm with the shutdown. So Charlie will continue to research that, but it has decreased as we would expect it to have from earlier this year. And then my only other reminder is that June 1st board budget workshop. Boy, a lot of things have changed from when we spoke to you last in early spring. And so we're going to have to, one of those unfortunate things that I can share with y'all today is TA released their new list of fast growth schools, and there's an allotment attached to that. We were all tickled to death last summer when we received the allotment for what we had grown, and after listening to Brent's presentation in the fall, we certainly would assume that we would qualify for a fast growth allotment when we're growing faster than we were when we had it. But unfortunately, back in the calculations, it did kick out Burnet CISD, which is a change since February and a reduction in revenue of about $500,000. We have gone to work already figuring out the implications of that and how it'll last, so we'll be able to visit with you guys in June at the budget workshop of the implications of that and areas we need to look at, such as growth. Do we budget for the growth? Do we budget for attendance? And all the different areas to deal with these changing times. So we look forward to visiting on June 1st. Any questions on the financials?
If not, Mr. Field, that concludes the communications and reports.
Very good. It was good communication and reports. Before I do the consent agenda, I know the board would like me to say congratulations to the BHS and Quest Students of the Month. And we especially appreciate, too, the student recognition. That meant a lot, even though we couldn't get to see them in person. Consent agenda amounts to item A is board minutes, B is expenditures in excess of $25,000, and C is 2021 school board calendar. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
It's Robbie, second.
Hello.
We had a motion by Mark and a second by Robbie.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
Okay.
Okay.
Love you too, Andy.
What's that?
Love you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought y'all had left me. Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Those in, well, here we go on the roll call. I'm sorry. Habits are hard to break. Suzanne Brown.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes, sir.
Robbie.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Earl.
Yes, sir.
Angela.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carried. Gets us into business items. Item 6A is discussion and possible action regarding approval of nomination of Earl Foster for the Region 13 Position B seat on TASB board.
So on page 50 of your board book, you'll find information regarding the nomination process, but TASB is accepting nominations for Region 13 Position B seat on the TASB board. That is currently held by Mary Jane Hetrick of Dripping Springs ISD. You'll recall that this position was up for election last year. It was a one-year unfulfilled term, and so this election will be for a 3-year term, and Mr. Foster is very interested in running for that position. If he has a heart to serve and wants to help lead on the TASB board, and we would love to have his leadership on the TASB board of directors. And so the administration joins the board of trustees in recommending his nomination. That will require action on your part.
You're crickets in the background.
This is Angela. I'll make the motion for the nomination of Earl Foster for the Region 13 Position B seat on the TASB board.
Second by Suzanne.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the nomination of Earl Foster for the Region 13 Position B seat on TASB board. Any more comments? I'll just say, Earl, I appreciate you stepping out there and doing it, and best of luck to you. I hope you get it.
Go Earl.
Thank you. It's going to be an uphill battle to try to unseat her because this is my third try. I don't know if y'all have known that, but it's not an easy task, but I'm up for the challenge.
I'm sure it's not. There you go. There you go. Any more comments or questions? If not, those in favor say aye. Suzanne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes, sir.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Of all things. Angela?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carried then. Thank you very much.
Go shake some hands, Earl.
I need to know some people.
We got some emails to send.
Yeah.
So we're getting an early start. So we're gonna blanket the superintendents and the boards to let them know that Earl's your man.
Cool.
All right. Good deal. Item B is next, and it's let's see, I'll read it. Regarding the adoption of Proclamation 2020 High School ELAR materials, and I think that's Dr. Yes.
Dr. Jones?
Jones? Yes.
So page 77 of your board book has this item. High school English, language arts, and reading courses have new TEAC state standards that will go into place this fall. And coinciding with that, the state of Texas put forth Proclamation 2020 to have materials vetted at the state level to be on a recommended list. Then our teachers worked with Kelly McCord, our secondary curriculum coordinator, to evaluate the recommended materials and take a few of them out for a spin with students and see what they thought. And so the teachers have selected My Perspectives Texas 9 through 12, published by Pearson, as their top choice for their core instructional material for the English language arts and reading courses in high school. So this would require the requirement for instructional materials allotment is that school boards adopt a resource that is certified to cover 100% of the TEACs, or that districts develop a curriculum that covers 100% of the TEACs. And so by adopting a core resource that covers the standards, we have complied with our ability to use the instructional materials allotment funds to purchase new textbooks and resources for these courses next year.
Okay.
This is Mark. I move to adopt the Proclamation 2020 instructional materials for high school ELAR courses.
This is Earl. I second it.
All right, thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the adoption of Proclamation 2020 High School ELAR materials. Comments, questions? All right, if none, I'll roll. Suzanne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
T.
Mark? Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself, motion carried. Thank y'all. Next is discussion and possible action regarding approval of memorandum of understanding with YMCA to provide after-school program at elementary campuses.
Yes, sir. This is Clay.
Clay, okay.
We are reaching our third. We're completing our second year of partnership with the YMCA to offer after-school programming, and are recommending continuing with year 3 next year. This was started back when the ACE grant went away for after-school care, and the district had to take care of it on its own, and we wanted to be sure to provide that for the students and parents of the community. So in year 1, I'll talk about the financial side first, and then we can go over the other stuff. But year 1, the district stepped out and committed $70,000 to provide an after-school care program. This was through our Bulldog Club. The students then were able to purchase additional the extra time at the enrichment time at the end of the homework time, and that was $5 a week to the Y to provide that enrichment time. In year 2, the district also provided $25,000 to continue the program, with the Y taking over the program completely, programming-wise. And with the district contribution, the student cost was $100 per month, and trying to kind of stair-step the increase of cost to parents and students. Just FYI, $100 is still extremely affordable in the market for after-school care. So now rolling into year 3, the district subsidy is going away. Burnet CISD will be providing zero funding for the program, but the cost to the students will be $120 per month, so a $20 a month increase. And I say Burnet CISD is providing no funding, but the facilities of the district and utilities are provided free of charge to the YMCA. So that is a huge benefit to the parents and students, because that's how the Y can keep that $120 per month cost for our parents and students. In the agreement, it basically lines up that all the programming of the YMCA current after-school program are staying the same. BJ Gates worked with their programming and worked out all the details for this agreement, and so everything will roll on as it has in the past. As with everything nowadays, we did add a caveat to the bottom of this agreement about COVID-19 and in these uncertain times, if any state days or local regulations that could impact school days and times, all dates, times, availability of program space, and our days open or closed is subject to change with agreement negotiated between BCISD and YMCA administration. So this locks us in to have the Y to provide services, but if everything goes haywire, no one's on the hook for anything in this agreement. Any questions or comments about the MOE with the Y?
Hey, this is Robbie. What kind of numbers are we showing in the program?
So I can't get into details. I know they outperformed their estimates, and so when we met last summer, I want to say 50 per campus. They had to hit this certain number, and I want to say it's like 75. And I heard the numbers, but I can't recall. But I know it was increasing as the year went, and they were meeting the numbers they needed to be able to hold to these prices. That was one concern last summer was, they have to have the kids to hold to those prices, and they have been able to do that.
Well, that was the reason for the question. I move for the adoption of the proclamation of the agreement with the Y.
Mr. Ross, I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding with the YMCA to provide after-school programming at the elementary campuses. Any comments or questions on that? If none, Suzanne? How do you vote? Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl? Did I miss it?
I said
Angela?
yes. Did you hear me?
Okay, I didn't hear. I'm sorry. And myself, yes. Motion carried. Gets down to item C. Let me get to item C, please. Your patience. It is discussion and possible action regarding approval of the third quarter budget amendment for the 2019-20 school year budget. Clay.
Yes, sir. So this is for the third quarter budget amendment. Just a reminder, we go on a cycle of every quarter. We bring you guys budget amendments to set up so things we know that are happening or are going to happen. We want you guys to be made aware of it and can make decisions on it, so it doesn't come in August and we just give you this whole list of things where, sorry, it's already done, but we need your approval. So that's why we've done went to the quarterly amendments. This third quarter, we have a good idea of what's going on, but as we discussed earlier, there's still a lot of uncertainty. And so I'll describe, there's just 5 entries that we're asking for approval tonight. The first is a decrease to revenue by $200,000. In the first quarter amendment, we raised revenue by $500,000 because of our increase in enrollment. Unfortunately, attendance took a dip that we've discussed with you guys due to sicknesses even way before we knew what COVID was. We were having attendance dips, and so we do have to show that $200,000 decrease in revenue. On the expenditure side, though, we do have some good news too, as we talked about some of the savings earlier in functions 11 and 13, which would be that staff development and instruction. We were able to reduce each of those functions by $100,000 based on some of the savings. Now, this is budget, so we are reducing that. That doesn't mean we're dead set not spending, those funds. But as of today, we don't budget to expend them. Dr. Jones could always come back and ask for more money, and then you guys can approve that. But as we're looking at approaching it right now, we're able to reduce those accounts by $200,000. We are asking for an increase of $115,000, or I should say a transfer of that $115,000 of that goes to functions 41 and 51, and those are to cover some COVID expenses, some cleaning expenses, legal fees, and then some of the soft costs for the maintenance bond, maintenance tax note. Some of the soft costs, we weren't exactly sure how those would work out, but we ended up expensing them this year and keeping the funds available, which we saw savings on anyway. So, long story short, you guys, we are asking for approval to decrease the general fund expenditures by $110,000 by moving funds from function 11 and 13 to functions 41 and 51. Any questions?
This is Angela. I make a motion for the approval of the third quarter budget amendment as presented.
Yes, Mark. Second.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the third quarter budget amendment for 2019-2020 school year budget as presented. Any more comments or questions on that? If none, Angela, I'm started. Suzanne?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself is yes. Motion carried. Thank y'all. Item E is, let me get to it. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of increased budget district contributions for health insurance. Who's got that? Oh, that's Gilmore. Ms. Gilmore.
This is Michelle. So on page 83 of your board book, you will find information regarding our health contribution. As you know, insurance is always increasing, and we are wanting to remain the leader in the Hill Country in providing free insurance to our staff members. Insurance will be going up by $1 through TRS. So last year we contributed $385. This next year it will go up to $386. We are asking also to provide that extra dollar, so it'll cost us an additional $6,000 for health insurance.
This is Suzanne. I move for the approval of increasing the district's contribution for health insurance from $385 monthly to $386 monthly.
Mr. Ross, I'll second.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the increasing of the district's contribution for health insurance from $385 monthly to $386 monthly. Any comments or questions? That's a good deal anywhere around. Suzanne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carried. All right. Ms. Gilmore, you just got the floor as far as I'm concerned. We'll go with item which is approved. Schedule, can you read my own writing somewhere? It's the teachers and librarians, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so on page 84 is information for a 2% midpoint general pay increase to our teachers and librarians. That is taking our teacher pay scale up to a starting pay of $48,850. That's up from this past school year of $48,100. So it ends up being around $1,050 for all current teaching staff that are coming back. We're also requesting to make market adjustments to years 14 through 22, so they'll get that extra $1,050 plus a little more on top of that. And again, that's market adjustments based on TASB's recommendation.
So sometimes, this is Keith, we hear the criticism that only, the first-year teachers get the biggest bang for their buck when we do pay raises like this, and I think this shows our commitment to maintain our entire salary schedule by making adjustments at year 14 through 22 to make sure it's as competitive against the market as our starting teacher salary is against the market.
This Mark, I move to approve the 2020-2021 new teacher salary schedule, targeted market adjustments, and 2% midpoint general pay increase for classroom teachers and librarians.
This Earl, I second it.
Okay, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 new teacher salary schedule, targeted marketing adjustments, and the 2% midpoint general pay increases for classroom teachers and librarians. Any discussion? All right, if none, we'll vote. Suzanne?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself. Motion carried. Thank you very much. From that to this next one is discussion and possible action regarding approval of the 2020-2021 salary schedule for administrative professional, clerical, paraprofessionals, and auxiliary pay groups, including the 2% midpoint general pay increase.
Okay, so on page 86 of your board book, you will find information regarding this. Again, this is another 2% midpoint general pay increase for all staff. Any staff whose pay is above the maximum will receive a lump sum payment equal to that pay increase split into two different checks. So that is information regarding your different pay groups for a 2% midpoint general pay increase.
All right.
This is Robbie, and I approve the salary schedule for the administrative professional and clerical professional staff and auxiliary pay groups of 2% midpoint general pay increases.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 salary schedules for administrative professionals, clerical paraprofessionals, auxiliary pay groups, including a 2% midpoint general pay increase. Any comments or questions on that? If none, Suzanne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself, motion carried. Item H, what I'm struggling for.
Stipend schedule.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I wrote me some long-handed, handwritten type notes because I didn't know if my laptop was going to work. Anyway, this one is discussion and possible action regarding approval of revisions to the 2020-2021 athletic, academic, fine arts, and extra duty stipend schedule.
Okay, so on page 92 of your board book, there are some stipends that when we were looking with CISD and going back and reviewing to see where are we at as far as stipends, how do we compare, there are some that we are needing to adjust, and we have those listed for you. We are wanting to increase assistant soccer stipend from $2,500 to $3,100, the Esprit de Corps stipend from $1,425 to $3,000, the choir from $2,500 to $3,000, and FFA increased from $3,000 to $3,600. Again, that's working with TASB and making sure that we are staying on top and comparing to other market and other school districts for those stipends.
This is Suzanne. I move for the approval of revisions to the 2020-2021 athletic, academic, fine arts, and extra duty stipend schedule.
This Earl, I second it.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the approval of the revisions of the 2020-2021 athletic, academic, fine arts, and extra duty stipend schedule as presented. Any comments or questions on that? Yes. None. Suzanne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Robbie?
Abstain.
Yes.
Earl?
Yes, sir.
Angela's yes.
Yes, and myself, yes. Motion carried. All right. Personnel. Ms. Gilmore.
Okay, so on page 95 of your board book, we are bringing forward to you Stephanie Buckley for new assistant principal at Burnet Middle School. She was interviewed by a variety of people, including all of the principals and the assistant principals, instructional coach, counselors, teachers, assistant superintendent, and then also the coordinator for secondary curriculum instruction. Stephanie Buckley was one of the 34 candidates that applied, and of those 34 candidates, we also interviewed all other administrators that were serving as administrators at their campuses in the secondary level. She's a graduate of Texas State. She holds several different degrees and several different certifications in Math 8 through 12, and then also Principal EC through 12. She's also serving as an instructional coach and a master teacher as well. She's taught geometry, pre-AP geometry, and Algebra 1. In her former school district, where she was a classroom teacher, she was in a hard area and brought that group into being one of the strongest PLCs there at the campus. So we are bringing forward to you tonight Ms. Stephanie Buckley for assistant principal at Burnet Middle School.
I move to approve contract professional personnel as listed. Mark.
Carl seconds it.
All right, thank you. Motion been made. Professional personnel and Suzanne?
Andy, I think.
You broke out. This is Suzanne, yes.
Excuse me just a minute. What did you say, Keith? I didn't hear you.
I was letting you know that you did break up, but we hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you. Ross?
Nay.
Robbie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And myself is yes. That'll be 6-1 on that. All right. That motion carried. Okay, Keith. I've got a big old END. It's next. Do you have anything else for the board?
No, just in your board book, you'll note the remainder personnel, just those that were hired under superintendent authority, and then those resignations and transfers that have taken place. Other than that, that is the agenda.
Good deal. Listen, y'all have a great Memorial Day and be safe.
And do remember to reach out to me and let me know when you might want to, that week of the 26th, to pick up a Chromebook in preparation for the June 1st workshop.
Okay.
And if you can, join us on the square for the parade.
Yes, absolutely, this Friday.
You're going to send out email, right, Suzanne?
Yes, I'll send it to Keith and have him send it to everybody.
That'll work.
Good deal.
Very good.
All right.
Y'all have a great night.
Y'all too. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.